The sterile hum of the dental drill filled the air, a sound so familiar to Dr. Ethan Caldwell that it had become a kind of lullaby, soothing in its precision. But on that fateful evening, as the crimson sunset bled through the blinds of his pristine office, the drill's whine was drowned out by the shattering of his heart. Ethan stood frozen, his gloved hands trembling over a tray of polished instruments, as he read the text message that would unravel his life. A careless, half-typed confession from his wife, Lila, admitting to an affair with his closest friend. The words seared into his mind, each letter a blade carving into the trust he'd built over a decade of marriage. Ethan, the perfect dentist, known for his gentle hands, his warm smile, and his unwavering kindness, felt something dark stir within him, a shadow he'd never known existed. What began as a quiet life of routine and love would soon spiral into a chilling plan, one that would test the boundaries of vengeance, redemption, and the human soul. If you believe in the power of kindness, second chances, and the resilience of the human spirit, please hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, share this story with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Gentle Hearts for more stories that touch the soul. Let's dive into Ethan's journey, a tale of heartbreak, brilliance, and the choices that define us. Ethan Caldwell was the kind of man who seemed to have it all. At 38, he ran a thriving dental practice in the heart of Willow Creek, a small town where everyone knew his name. His office was a haven of calm, with soft jazz playing in the waiting room, walls adorned with pastel landscapes, and a coffee machine that always had fresh brew for nervous patients. Ethan's reputation was spotless. He was the dentist who could make a root canal feel like a conversation with an old friend. His patients adored him, leaving glowing reviews about his patience and precision, and his staff, 2 hygienists and a receptionist, considered him more family than boss. But it was his marriage to Lila that he cherished most. They'd met in college, her vibrant laugh and fearless spirit pulling him out of his shy, studious shell. 15 years later, their life together was a tapestry of small joys, Sunday hikes, late-night movie marathons, and dreams of starting a family. Ethan believed their love was unbreakable, a quiet certainty that anchored his world. That certainty crumbled on a Tuesday evening in late autumn. Ethan had stayed late at the office to finish a patient's crown molding, his phone buzzing on the counter as he worked. He ignored it at first, focused on the delicate task, but when he finally glanced at the screen, his world tilted. Lila's message was meant for someone else, a friend, perhaps, but it landed in his inbox like a grenade. I didn't mean for it to happen, but I'm in love with him. Ethan's too good, too perfect. I feel trapped. The words were followed by a second message, this one clearly for him. I'm so sorry, Ethan. I didn't send that to you. Can we talk? His breath caught in his throat, and the phone slipped from his hand, clattering onto the sterile tile floor. The betrayal wasn't just Lila's affair, it was the name she'd mentioned in a follow-up text. Mark, Ethan's best friend since dental school, the man who'd been the best man at their wedding. The 2 people he trusted most had conspired to shatter his world. For days, Ethan moved through his life like a ghost. He smiled at patients, nodded at his staff's jokes, and kept his hands steady during procedures, but inside, he was unraveling. Sleep eluded him, replaced by endless nights staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of his marriage, searching for signs he'd missed. Lila's apologies filled their home, her tearful pleas echoing in the kitchen where they'd once danced to old records. She swore it was a mistake, a fleeting lapse, but Ethan couldn't unsee the truth. She felt trapped by his goodness, suffocated by the life he'd built for them. Mark, too, tried to make amends, leaving voicemails Ethan deleted without listening. The pain was a living thing, coiling tighter with each passing day, until it birthed something new, a cold, calculated resolve. Ethan, the man who'd spent his life fixing smiles, began to imagine a different kind of fix, one that would make Lila and Mark feel the weight of their betrayal. The plan took shape in the quiet hours of his office, where the tools of his trade gleamed under fluorescent lights. Ethan was no stranger to precision, his work demanded it. Every filling, every extraction, every smile he crafted was a testament to his meticulous nature. Now, that same brilliance turned toward a darker purpose. He began researching, late into the night, poring over medical journals, chemical compounds, and obscure case studies. His mind, once a sanctuary of healing, became a labyrinth of calculated revenge. He discovered a rare anesthetic, a compound so subtle it could induce temporary paralysis without detection, leaving no trace in standard toxicology reports. It was a dentist's dream, precise, invisible, and devastatingly effective. Ethan's plan wasn't to kill, that was too crude, too final. He wanted Lila and Mark to feel trapped, just as he had, to experience a helplessness that mirrored his own. He would stage a procedure, a routine dental visit for each, using his expertise to administer the compound. They'd wake up hours later, disoriented, with no memory of what happened, but the psychological weight of their vulnerability would linger. It was a plan only a dentist could conceive, a masterpiece of control born from his shattered trust. As weeks turned into months, Ethan's outward life remained unchanged. He greeted patients with the same warm smile, attended town events, and even sat through tense dinners with Lila, who believed they were working toward reconciliation. But beneath the surface, he was a man possessed. He ordered the compound through a discreet supplier, using his professional credentials to mask its purpose. He practiced the procedure in his mind, timing every step, the injection, the sedation, the moment they'd wake to find themselves at his mercy. Yet, even as he planned, a part of him recoiled. The Ethan who'd spent years volunteering at free dental clinics, who'd comforted children terrified of needles, was still there, whispering that this wasn't him. The conflict tore at him, a battle between the man he was and the one his pain was forging. He began to notice the toll it took. His hands shook slightly during procedures, his dreams were plagued by visions of Lila's tearful face, and his once steady heart raced with guilt. The turning point came unexpectedly, on a cold December morning. Ethan was treating a young patient, a girl named Sophie, whose front tooth had chipped in a playground accident. She was terrified, her small hands gripping the chair as tears welled in her eyes. Ethan knelt beside her, his voice soft, coaxing her to breathe, telling her a silly story about a tooth fairy who collected broken smiles to build castles in the sky. Sophie laughed, her fear easing, and as Ethan worked, he saw something in her trusting eyes that pierced through his darkness. For the first time in months, he felt the weight of his own humanity. That night, he sat in his office, the vial of anesthetic in his hand, and wept. The plan, so meticulously crafted, felt like a betrayal of everything he'd ever stood for. He thought of Sophie, of the countless patients who'd trusted him, of the man he'd been before Lila's confession. Revenge, he realized, wouldn't heal him, it would only deepen the wound. Ethan made a choice. He destroyed the vial, flushing its contents and shattering the glass in a fit of resolve. He confronted Lila, not with anger, but with raw honesty, laying bare his pain and his decision to let her go. The divorce was painful but necessary, a step toward reclaiming himself. Mark, too, faced Ethan's forgiveness, though their friendship was beyond repair. Ethan threw himself into his work, not as an escape, but as a reclamation of purpose. He expanded his free clinic hours, mentored young dentists, and found solace in the small victories of his patients' smiles. The darkness that had threatened to consume him receded, replaced by a quiet strength. He wasn't perfect anymore, not the flawless dentist or the unshakable husband, but he was whole, a man who'd faced his demons and chosen light over shadow. Years later, Ethan stood in his office, now filled with photos of patients whose lives he'd touched. He was older, grayer, but his eyes held a warmth that hadn't been there before. He'd never remarried, but he'd found peace in the community he served, in the laughter of children like Sophie, in the knowledge that he'd walked away from a path that could have destroyed him. His story wasn't one of vengeance, but of redemption, a testament to the power of choosing kindness over cruelty, even when the world feels broken. Willow Creek still called him the perfect dentist, but Ethan knew the truth. Perfection wasn't in his skill or his smile, but in his ability to rise above his pain. If this story of heartbreak, struggle, and redemption touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Gentle Hearts for more stories that remind us of the strength within us all. Your support keeps these stories alive, and we'd love to hear how this one moved you. Before we end, I have a special request. Please leave a comment below sharing what this story meant to you or how you've found light in your own moments of darkness. Your words could inspire someone else in ways you can't imagine. Thank you for being part of the Gentle Hearts family.